I said you mentioned based on your submission that you've taken a multi-sectorial approach by engaging partners like IOM among other stakeholders. So I want to know, based on your assessment from previous numbers, has the issue increased or decreased?
Thank you very much. I think working with our partners, IOM, Frontex, and also the European Union, if you look at the records from 2025 and that of 2026, I think the numbers are also kind of like going down at the fourth quarter of 2025, except at the beginning, the first quarter of 2026, we saw at least an increase in the number of, irregular migrations. Yes.
Member for Sanementren constituency, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Minister, you've made mention in your submission for the 31 pregnant women who have embarked on this journey. 21, rather? Okay. You've made mention about 21 pregnant women who have already embarked on this journey. Was there any follow-up for their medical conditions? And what was the specific support to these women and their babies? Thank you.
I am not in a position to provide this answer now, but we will also find out from the relevant institutions that have been handling these issues, and then we can come up with another answer to your question. Thank you.
Honorable members, on your behalf, I want to thank the Honorable Minister for Foreign Affairs, International Cooperation and Gambians abroad for those answers provided to this August Assembly. Honorable Minister, you may leave now. Clerk, we may proceed.
Thank you. Questions for oral answers continues. The Honorable Minister for Trade, Industry, Regional Integration and Employment.
Honorable members, the Honorable Minister for Trade, Industry, Regional Integration and Employment, please take the podium. Questions for which due notices were given to the Honorable Minister for Trade, Industry, Regional Integration and Employment by Honorable members for oral reply. Question number 022 of 2026 by the member of Banjul North.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, before I ask my question, I want to congratulate the Honorable Minister for his appointment. And from there, Honorable Speaker, could the Honorable Minister for Trade, Industry, Regional Integration and Employment inform this August Assembly whether the ministry conducted any assessment of the country's capacity to meet the demand for onions and potatoes during the moratorium from 1st March to the end of June or July 2026, and how the ministry plans to prevent local shortages from affecting prices.
Honorable Speaker, if you permit me, let me also return compliments to members of the House of Parliament, wishing them Ramadan Kareem, pray for their well-being and that of their families, and to pledge that I will be working closely and for the interest of the Gambia. Honorable Speaker, my ministry conducted a comprehensive assessment on the local production of onion and potatoes against the consumption threshold, as well as to determine the country's preparedness to implement the moratorium. In mid-January 2026, the moratorium committee embarked on an assessment mission to all the commercial farms and selected community, women guarding in all regions across the country to collect data on the expected output and harvest timeline of domestically produced onions and potatoes. Findings from the assessment revealed that the supplies of onion and potatoes will meet local demands. To prevent local shortage affecting prices, the ministry have allowed the import of shipments loaded from the port's origin by the 9th of February 2026. This will help to stabilize the supplies and prices during the moratorium period. The monitoring committee will meet on a regular basis to monitor the market conditions and may take appropriate policies to address any potential shortages that may affect prices.
Thank you. Question number 023 of 2026 by the member for Bakau.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, in view of the increasing cost of living and economic hardship faced by ordinary Gambians, could the Honorable Minister for Trade, Industry, Regional Integration and Employment inform this August Assembly what interventions the government has introduced to stabilize prices of basic commodities and support vulnerable households?
Honorable Speaker, I would like to start or to state that the Gambia maintained a free market policy with a liberal trading environment where prices of goods and services are determined by market forces of demand and supply. The government is not implementing a price control regime. We do not share the same view of the question. If CBG inflation assessment, if we go by the CBG inflation assessment of inflation reference, notwithstanding, the ministry monitors the stock and price level of essential food commodities in the market on a weekly basis to ensure their availability and accessibility, as well as mitigating any possible shortage through regular consultation with importers and to take appropriate business decisions. To minimize the effect of price variability of goods in the domestic market and to ensure the availability and affordability of these commodities to Gambians, the ministry continue to facilitate the importation of essential food commodities. The ministry has been engaging and will continue to engage ports to provide priority buffing to vessels carrying essential commodities to avoid demurrage charges that may add to price of commodities in the market. The ministry is also working with partners and businesses to ensure the timely availability of essential commodities. For a long-term strategy, the ministry will continue to promote domestic production of some of the essential commodities to minimize food import and to ensure food security, and this, to a large extent, will stabilize the price of rice and other commodities in the domestic market. The provision of direct support to vulnerable households are directly administered by government agencies vis-a-vis charities, philanthropies, social welfare, and the gender ministry. Thank you.
Honorable Speaker, if I had the minister right, you talk about free market. In order to stabilize prices of basic commodities as a government or as a ministry, will it not be the responsibility of government to take leadership in order to stabilize prices of basic commodities? Done in that issue to make sure that prices of basic commodities are stabilized.
Government have put in place mechanism to ensure prices are stable through the concession it gives in the taxes, that is levies, but also the incentive it provides to farmers and commercial operators to ensure that these products are available at all times.
Thank you. No further question, please.
Thank you, member. The Honorable Member Fofoni Bondali, you have the floor.
Thank you, Bintang. Thank you.
No, I have Bondali.
Yeah, maybe it's a mistake of writing.
Huh?
I say maybe it's a mistake when he was writing because Bondalis have not been here for a while.
Okay, no, please take your seat. All right, Member Fofoni Bintang, you have the floor.
Honorable Speaker, it's Ramadan. Huh? Maybe that's why. Thank you. Okay, Honorable Minister, you spoke about free market policy, and the question was very, very clear. That the question was directing on the stabilizing the price of food commodities. You went around the line and told us that importation of whatever. That's not the question. Direct the question as it should be answered. Free market policy does not mean people can do whatever they feel like. So you have not outlined the measures that you are taking to control the price of commodities. And that is the question, Honorable Minister.
Honorable Member.
Yes.
Ask your question, please. If you don't have question.
Okay, now my question is it that the people can determine any price they want to determine? Honorable Minister, when you talk about free market policy.
Free market policies.
Point of order, Honorable Speaker.
There is a point of order from by the member for Serekunda. Please, can we have
38J. A question fully answered shall not be asked again during the same session. His question was answered.
Member for Serekunda, the member for Serekunda, his question is, he asked the minister to explain what he meant by free market policy. Does that mean people can fix their own prices or not? So, and your point of order is that a question fully answered should not be asked again. Have the minister answered that question, sir? Please use your mic.
Minister have answered that question.
Yes.
That is why he raised the issue of liberal and free market. Yeah, the minister have fully answered that question. That's why he raised the issue of free market and liberal market.
What did the minister say about, was the minister asked?
Yes, when the parent question is about...
Hold on. Was the minister asked to answer what he meant by free market policy?
You should, Speaker, I think you should consult with your AD, your technicians there, but the minister has fully answered that question. That's where the issue of liberal market came about. Otherwise, if you want, you can just grant him the floor.
Honorable member, it's not about wanting to grant him. You know, the supplementary questions are based on the answer asked and yes, and answers. Please order here. Answer asked. Order. The members for Wuli is and the member for Faruke. Please order. Supplementary questions are meant to elucidate more on the answers based on the substantive question and answer provided. So if the minister had talked about free market policies and the member asked him what the minister meant by that, and you said a question is fully answered, the parent question was never on free market policy. And the minister's answer was never based on that. In the answer, the minister talked about free market policies. And the supplementary question to that is what the minister meant by that. Does it mean that people are at liberty to fix or to put on prices of commodities, basic commodities, ask the questions at will. That's his supplementary question. It was never asked. So, Minister, please provide an answer to that.
Honorable Speaker, free market policy simply means prices are determined by demand and supply. It doesn't mean that everybody is free to charge whatever, but in a market functioning very well, that is not even possible. The assumption is that there is enough demand and there is enough supply, and the commodity is determined through that mechanism. So that is what we mean by free liberal market system.
Member for Sanamentring, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. And Honorable Minister, thank you very much for giving that very comprehensive response. But Honorable Speaker, having given a comprehensive response with regards to the prices, stability in the Gambia, Honorable Minister, what would be the ministry's short-term plan to ensure Gambians have a stable price as we are in the Lent for Christians and of course Ramadan for Muslims? A short-term plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. I just want to make reference to the recent MPC statement by the governor of the central bank. Actually, contrary to what is being reported or assumed in the question and what is being also assumed here, that actually prices during this time are on the upwards stream. The Monetary Policy Committee reported that actually prices have actually come down from somewhere between 16.5% in September 2025 to now about 6.9%. That is the average. That doesn't mean that individual commodities and individual items cannot go up and down. In some instances, in some part of the basic commodities in particular, the general trend is that it is going down, except for few items that have been observed to be going up, and that is including onion and potatoes. But it is also not quite new. It is explainable, and the history is that during this time of the year, this kind of price hike is expected, but they would go away as soon as by the third week. Usually, the observation is that by the third week of the Ramadan, the tendency is that they will go down.
Member for Kiang West, you have the floor.
Honorable Minister, whereas you assert your ministry's commitment in upholding the liberal market principles, however, there are internal policies that requires levies on imported food commodities, which are policy matters. And of course, as a ministry responsible for policy formulation, to look at those levies and duties that are put on those basic food commodities. That is where the problem comes in. Is your ministry ready to try to minimize those levies, because it ends up affecting the consumers, rather than taking a fixed price? This is what is to be bought because it's a liberal market. But you can look at those levies that you put in on the business communities. Are you ready to look at that, and how soon could that be possible?
Honorable Speaker, the questionnaire did raise a very important matter, and that is the issue of levies and duties, in addition to possibly taxes and other charges. If you look at this tax structure, it's such that there are items that are aimed at raising government revenue, but there are also items that are levied to recover services being provided. And in some of these instances, like levies and duties that he inferred, most of those ones are in respect of services or cost recovery. But I can tell you that the tax structure of the Gambia vis-a-vis essential commodities is such that we are far below the region, and that is being done for obvious reason. We want to use the Gambia as a hub for attraction of imports, and then further then supply it across the region. But with respect to the levies and duties, it serves a different purpose. It's usually cost recovery, and those services are also.
Honorable Minister, supplementary questions, answers to supplementary questions are limited only to 2 minutes.
All right.
Are you the speaker? Honorable Minister.
Yes, I'm just basically, I was trying to distinguish between taxes, that is targeted for government revenue, but also duties and levies that are also being introduced for cost recovery. Services being provided for recovery purposes.
The Honorable Member for Banjul Central, you have the floor.
Honorable Minister, based on the parent question, which acts on the interventions that has to do with the basic commodities to support the vulnerable households, that is to stabilize prices. So hence we've been discussing about free market. I want to know what actions have been taken from your end when it comes to the issue of putting in sanctions, because we know that there are a lot of businesses that use, you know, I can say they artificially inflate prices around these times. What sanctions are in place or have been in place to be able to cope the situation? Yeah.
Yes, I think, Honorable Member, what you raise is very important. In any market situation, no matter how liberal and how regulated it is, there are instances of cheating and also foul plays. And sanctions and other additional measures are necessary to make sure that you eliminate this from the market as much as possible. It's almost an impossible task, but we have put in place enough market measures and enough market participants who are actually willing and are in the market to make sure that such practices or incidences are minimized as much as possible. And where they occur and they are dealt with in accordance with the law.
Member for Fonyi Brevet, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Minister, the stability of the price of basic commodities covers both the increasement of the price or the decreasement of the price, especially during market glut. Sometimes people here, I can say the Honorable Member is asking questions based on the rise of price. What will the ministry do? But sometimes it affects the market also during market glut, when common products, when farmers harvest goods together. What will your ministry do to stabilize the price if the market is already glut, like when the farmers do the harvest at the same time?
Yes, a price glut can happen and do happen, especially when commodities ripe at the same time, and there is no mechanism of also preserving them to serve and stay for a longer time. In those instances like that, in a free market regime, we don't control or we don't fix price. It's usually determined by supply and demand. And that's, in some instances, how they might even accuse government of, especially these are local produce, that when they are in the peak of their harvest, why wouldn't also government step up and protect their produce, allowing them to have access to the market? But I think we are increasingly listening to that because recently you heard of the onion and the potato moratorium. That is exactly for the same reason. So we will continue to monitor the Gambian produce and give them preferences to the market during their time of peak harvest.
Question number 024 of 2026 by the member for Jara Central.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. And then thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Honorable Speaker, could the Honorable Minister for Trade, Industry, Regional Integration and Employment inform this August Assembly of the monthly consumption rate of the following food products in the Gambia: Irish potato, onions, and rice? Thank you.
Honorable Speaker, please be informed that the ministry do not have a comprehensive data based on the domestic consumption level of essential commodities such as Irish potatoes, onion, and rice, due to the re-export component that been added to these imports. The ministry is working with partners, MDAs, to compile the relevant statistics of the essential commodities such as Irish potatoes, onion, and rice, and disaggregated them into local domestic use and those that are export. But just to allay the questionnaires' fear, what we do import is much higher than actually what is being consumed here, and that is an observed pattern to an extent that a good component of this particular import is re-exported to the region.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. So if the ministry do not have a record of how much potato, Irish potato, onions, and rice have been consumed in the country, so I wanted to ask, how do you then implement the moratorium effectively and efficiently?
Like I said, the import structure of the Gambia is such that it's catered both for domestic as well as for export. So to allay your initial fear, and that was to say whether or not we are actually producing enough for Gambians, and the answer is obvious. The export pattern of the Gambia is that it is combination of consumption in country, but also the export component, which also is quite significant. Now, back to your question, whether or not what we are really importing or what we are really producing is enough, and whether we have the statistics. That I have already answered in my first question, which have indicated that we conducted a survey of what is being produced and what is the local market demand. And we've consistently indicated that it's adequate and it's enough to supply the market for 3 months and for 4 months.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. So then how prepared is your ministry to be able to get to the having a list or an organized data of what we consume, more particularly the basic commodities, which include rice, sugar, potato, etc.
You don't have sugar in your distinct question and answer. And you are just meandering your supplementary. It's all answered by him. And so please go ahead, or is that does it? Member for Woolly East, please, you can have the floor now.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the issue is about the consumption rate of these commodities, potato, onions, rice. I would have thought that the ministry would know how much is being imported and how much is being re-exported. And in that regard, we will be able to know the difference. So would you endeavor, or the ministry endeavor, to find out the import and the export, and so that we will be able to know how much is being consumed by our people?
Remember for Uli is, can I ask you a question? Were you out or you are here?
I'm here.
But he answered. He said because of they don't have the figures, but because of the import, what is imported is more than what is consumed, and they think it's exported to the region. And because of the import and export, they don't have all those things, but they are looking at people. He said all those things. You ask him again.
Yeah, Honorable Speaker, he said that, but I am telling. He said he does not know. That's what he's saying, because of conditions.
He said because of this and that and that. But
Yes.
we are now, what we are going to do, he said they are going to do that. They are going to look at those figures.
And then get back to us. Okay, thank you. I am saying for him to endeavor and do that and give us the details. That's what I'm asking him to do. Did you ask him to do that?
No,
You are the one who is sleeping.
No, I understand. I think, you know, in the morning, all of you had good energy, but now all the energy is exhausted because of lack of water. So you are dehydrated. Remember for Banjul, you see, you know, Serekunda and Willis, they are my friends. Yes, they are today. Remember for Banjul Central, you have the floor.
Yeah, Honorable Minister, my question was partly answered based on your last submission. However, I would want to know, I would want to know, right now, do you know what our national consumption rate is currently? And does there exist a policy, evidence-based policy, that would give us accurate numerals when it comes to knowing our national consumption rate as a country?
You know, Honorable Member for Banjul Central, you see, I don't know who rose a point of order, and the member for Serekunda, a question fully asked and answered shall not be asked again. It was asked, in fact, the substantive question, and he answered. He said he doesn't have the percentage of the national consumption rate on this one. He said it. You have responded to it. He responded to it.
No, Honorable Speaker, my question is based on policy. Is there a policy guide that would determine that? That's my question.
Honorable Member, there is a policy guide, and I just want to assure and re-echo what the Speaker have just said. What I am saying is that our primary concern was not about import for domestic market, because we know we are always importing in addition to the export component that is always added. So with respect to the local market, that has never been our primary occupation, because as a region, we import plus. Now, if you want to know exactly how much we import, we've said that we have assessed the market for potatoes and onion, and they are more than enough to supply for 3 months and 4 months. But if you want the numbers, we can also look at the number and share the number with you.
Maybe we will allow the members from Lower Salom, Nyamini Dankunku, Nyanija, Serekunda, and Wuli East, when they finish with their conclave, they will report to plenary. Tell us, what are you meeting? Your meeting with?
Yes, we are consulting on the ruling that you have made. Yes, we want to deal with you.
The member for Brikama North and Minority Leader, you have the floor.
Thank you much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Minister, you indicated that survey or assessment was conducted on the local products. However, without statistics of consumption rate, how do you determine with scientific facts the production will be enough during the monetarium period?
Good question. Like I said, we have done a survey, we have done an assessment, and based on what we have gathered from the local farms, whether from the commercial farmers or from the gardens, we have determined that what will be produced in terms of onion and potatoes are more than 3 months and 4 months. Now, if you want the disaggregation of that, we can also endeavor to share.
Honorable members, on your behalf, I want to thank the Honorable Minister for Trade, Industry, Regional Integration and Employment for those answers provided. Honorable Minister, you may leave now. Clerk, we may proceed.
Thank you. Question for oral answers continues. The Honorable Minister for Lands, Regional Government and Religious Affairs.
The Honorable Minister for Lands, Regional Government and Traditional Rulers, please take the podium. Regional Government and Religious Affairs, rather. Questions for which due notices were given to the Honorable Minister for Lands, Regional Government and Religious Affairs by honorable members for oral reply. Question number 046 of 2026 by the Honorable Member for Janjambure.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and thank you, Honorable Minister. Deputy Clerk, your mic. I think the Ramadan is dealing with you there. Honorable Speaker, could the Honorable Minister for Lands, Regional Government and Religious Affairs provide this August Assembly with the investigative report on Kamalo and provide any related files, including master files showing plot allocations to individuals and companies?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm pleased to inform this August Assembly that the investigative report of the Kamalo Task Force was completed and presented to Cabinet for approval with the recommendations. The report contains all the allottees and their plot numbers and will be made available as requested.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. If I may ask, on the basis of a timeline, when do you think this August Assembly could lay hand on the report?
As soon as possible.
As soon as possible, could that be tomorrow or Friday?
Depend on the possibility and where the files are laid.
Member for Brikama North and Minority Leader.
Honorable Minister, you indicated that the report is completed and presented to Cabinet for its approval. When actually was the said report presented to Cabinet?
The report was discussed since last year. I can't remember the exact date. It was last year. Last year.
Member for Banjul Central, you have the floor.
Yeah, thank you. Mr. I want to know, what do you mean by where, depends on where the files are laid? You want clarity on that?
The files were undergoing police investigation. They've been returned. We have to collect them, compile them, and bring them through this, give the information.
The member for Joswang, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Honorable Minister, I love your color. Honorable Minister, did you start acting on this recommendation? Did you start acting on these recommendations?
Yes, we started on the recommendation of the report.
Member for Fonye Councillor, you have the floor.
Yes, thank you. Honorable Minister, as per what you've said about the report compilation, and just the question that you have said, you have started acted on the recommendation. Parliament also need to be aware of the details in the report. Can you give us a specific date, day, and time for submission of this report for the Parliament?
Honorable Speaker, I want to inform the Honorable Member that I've already answered that question in the question asked by the member for Janjambur.
That's correct. Question number 047 of 2026 by the member for Banjul Central.
Honorable Speaker, in view, oh, sorry.
Banjul Central, are you withdrawing your question? I will move to the next question.
You gave him permission, that's why. Oh, okay, okay. Honorable Speaker, in view of the rapid rise in real estate scams, could the Honorable Minister for Lands, Regional Government and Religious Affairs inform this August Assembly what interim measures are being taken to protect citizens pending enactment of the real estate bill?
Honorable Speaker, I am pleased to inform this August Assembly that the real estate bill draft is soon to be validated. Regarding the protection of citizens against scammers, the ministry is sensitizing the public to utilize its technical department for verification and appropriate advice before entering into any form of agreements on purchase of land pending the enactment of the real estate bill. Additionally, my humble self and my senior management team met with my counterpart, the Honorable Minister of Interior and his team on this matter of utmost concern to the Gambian people, where we discuss and devise ways of mitigating such scams by ensuring that the Gambia Police Force bring to book perpetrators of such scams. Further, since my assumption of duty as Minister for Lands, I have initiated a weekly senior management team meeting where aggrieved persons regarding scams have been coming forward to lodge their complaints. Consequently, we have realized that such meetings have seen a drastic decline of land-related scamming.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, for that. It answers almost, I would say, 75% of my supplementary questions. However, we've seen that a lot of proposed real estate scammers usually go scot-free, using certain measures to feed on vulnerabilities of citizens. What exactly, what current measures have you done, or have you apprehended anyone yet that is found to be a scammer?
Speaker, let me inform the Honorable Member for Banjul Central, I'm not the Minister responsible of law reinforcement. And that is the reason why I took it upon myself to engage the Minister of Interior. we are not responsible. So those who are arrested, not arrested, arrested, released, is not within my purview.
Any further question? The member for Serekunda.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Minister, normally these land scammers, they normally work with insiders in your technical departments. So have your ministry conducted any investigation about this?
Honorable member for Serekunda, you cannot substantiate those allegations. Honorable members, order, you cannot, honorable member. Order, please. Honorable member, you cannot come here and allege persons who cannot.
Yeah, withdrawn. I withdraw.
Who cannot defend themselves here.
I withdraw. But what I'm saying is that.
No, take your seat.
Huh?
No.
Yes, normally this
nominated member, Maimuna Sise.
Normally the land scammers do work with insiders.
Nominated member Maimuna Sise, you have the floor.
Allow me, please.
Members, please order. Nominated member Maimuna Sise, you have the floor.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Minister, as we all know, these real estate scammers are real in this country. Does the ministry have any plan to set up a special tribunal court for land allocations in this country? Because so many victims are working in pain, but you have so many scammers are also working freely in this country. Thank you.
Honorable Speaker, I want to inform the nominated member, my ministry is not responsible of judicial processes of that nature. However, we have reached out to the Chief Justice based on the outcome of the discussion related to the land policy. The Chief Justice and the Minister of Justice have agreed there will be a special court dealing with lands, and that process is ongoing as we speak. And I think as soon as possible, that court will be operational.
The member for Brikama North and Minority Leader, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Minister, in your response, you indicated that your ministry had discussed and devised ways in mitigating the scam. Could you inform this August Assembly what is your assessment on the impact of the mitigating devices that your ministry discussed on?
We are seeing positive results in it.
Question number 048 of 2026 by the member for Joshua.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, an embargo was in place on the construction at the Kamalo site, and yet still construction of the said site is still happening. Could the Honorable Minister of Lands and Regional Government and Regional Affairs shed light on this matter?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I am pleased to inform this August Assembly that during the investigatory period, the ministry had placed an embargo on construction works at the Kamalo industrial layout. However, after the receipt of the investigative report, the recommendation dictated the administrative process of Kamalo layout, which led to the uplifting of the embargo. I want to inform the honorable member that the embargo have been lifted since, and construction work is ongoing at the Kamalo industrial layout.
Honorable Minister, based on the recommendations of from the investigation, were there any re-entries of these lands?
Yes, there were re-entries, but I cannot tell you how many of them for now as we speak. But I do know, yes, based on the recommendation, there were re-entries.
Honorable Minister, yes, there were re-entry. Are you aware that there were people who were given land from those lists? They started projects, invested in those projects, and still were asked to stop because the previous owners are reclaiming those lands again. Are you aware of that?
Aware, I would love to have that information in writing to my office, and we'll deal with it.
Thank you.
The member for Brikama North and Minority Leader.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Minister, the recommendation of the investigative report warranted the lifting of the embargo. We were earlier on informed that the same report was presented to Cabinet, waiting for the approval of the Cabinet, if I stand to be corrected. But that was the earlier information.
Not correct,
before Cabinet for its approval. It's before Cabinet for its approval. If it is before Cabinet for its approval, meaning the report is here to be approved by Cabinet, how can the same report be implemented when Cabinet is here to approve it?
Honorable Speaker, let me inform the Honorable Member for Brikama North that the report was approved and is being implemented. Approved by Cabinet and is being implemented based on the recommendations in the report.
Member for Woodley East, you have the floor.
Yes, thank you, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Minister. When was this embargo lifted? When? When was the embargo lifted? When was the embargo lifted? When?
When the report was adopted. Approved? Yes. Last year. It was lifted last year.
Honorable members, on your behalf, I wish to thank the Minister for Land, Religious Affairs, for Land, Regional Government and Religious Affairs, for those answers provided to this Assembly. Honorable Minister, thank you. You may go. Honorable members, be it resolved that this Assembly do stand adjourned until Thursday, 5th March 2026 at 10 a.m. Those in favor, please say aye. Those not in favor, please say no. The Assembly now stand adjourned until Thursday, 5th March 2026 at 10 a.m. prompt.